first time looking at the maybe let's say hi, good luck to my opponent and have fun. So the position looks like maybe not that special for a normal, with the rooks on normal squares, the queen on the standard square. This bishop is like it went to d3 and then back to b1, and the other bishop the other way around. This knight could go to b3, which is a pretty normal square, and this knight could go to f3. Like example, imagine that I managed to castle, then that would be a very normal square. That are already way too much arrows, so let's remove them. So now let's think concretely. So I feel, yeah, so I at one point probably need to move the f pawn to get this bishop in the game, although I could go also with over here, and that would be like forcing me to play a bird. Also, let's check if any pawns are unprotected. Yes, this pawn, so the b pawns are unprotected, but I assume they are not that easy to attack. Like, yeah, maybe getting a knight over here on c5 would do that. But yeah, let's say I start with f4, then oh no, it's the other way around. Okay, so that's but yeah, getting a knight to d3, any of the knights to d3 would defend that square too. So let's say if I play f4, then they could copy, or d5 is for sure an option. Then I could move the knight behind, getting more control. Also I could, can I do, like where do I want this bishop? Maybe this is a nice diagonal. And maybe at some point bishop d4. It's not that easy to challenge it from that position. It would already look at the possible, although yeah, knight f6 and would block that again. It's harder than I like, since you want to castle. I guess could also think about castling long, so get my knights both out, and I just need to find a square for my queen, and I could castle long. So let's say d4, d5. It's hard. I thought, like, since so many spaces would be our normal squares, it would be easier position, starting position, but I'm not sure. But I'm gonna go with my first like idea. I assume with the bishop here, like otherwise this diagonal could be a little bit weak. That's one of the big weaknesses of playing f4 in the normal opening position. But the bishop is already defending this diagonal. But yeah, let's just don't like it. Don't like anything. d4 and then playing with f3 e4. That's a good tool too. Maybe d4 is more flexible, but yeah, that only opens up. And there's also or I could play with c4, that opens up 2 pieces. Okay, maybe c4. And then after d5 I can capture. e5. Yeah, e5 I can easily challenge. Okay, I'm going for this. It took a long time, 8 minutes. I hope. That's one of the. I knew in the past I like to. I did like 5 minutes. When I started with Chess960 with a 5-minute timer to at least think that, but then after some time I stopped with that. But I'm not sure if I ever thought 8 minutes about the first move. Okay. So yeah, I hadn't looked at my opponent at all. So it looks like I should be a solid favorite, but it's, you never know in Chess960. Okay. Now of course they can take some time too. So let's see. Discuss some logical replies. After they want to do it like that. Okay, so they open up this bishop. I guess yeah, we can now go for something like symmetrical. Let's see if I play. Could also play with e4. Although then then I just play d3 and that would dominate at knight. So if I now play with e4, if they play with d5, I take twice. No. I hallucinated, like if they wanted to play d5 I wanted to take, and then I thought, yeah, knight c3 tempo, but of course there is no knight c3 tempo. That was silly. So after e5 they could play d5, I take twice, and the queen would be reasonably over there. I have now maybe some queen b3. And if they play queen b6 as a reply, I have f3, which could be uncomfortable. That's an interesting idea, which I hadn't thought about earlier. Since, yeah, I think I would be threatening to take on b7. Hello. Yeah, moving the queen out. I guess there could be some ideas with like, but yeah, I have nice that I have this diagonal pinned. Of course, I can play d5 to challenge that, but then I can take and play d4, blocking it. Then they have this square too, but yeah, let's see. So queen b6, I think I want to play with f3. I could also think about f4, but yeah, f4 is hanging, so probably f3. Okay. So probably now they will need to trade queens. I can take with the knight, and then although it's not, they can just defend and it's not wicked. I can also take with the b pawn, which is interesting. That would already like stun this bishop somewhat. I would have pressure on the a file. I think that's an interesting idea. And again, time to remove arrows. So how will I guess with taking with the b pawn now I'm taking away some squares for my knights. Well, not developing the knight could be nice. But I feel like if I take with the knight, could get somewhat out of play there too. And opening up my hook, getting my pawn a little bit closer to the center. Like I have now this piece developed, this piece, this piece. Well, they have only this bishop. Okay. So what's next? d5, okay. Sensible move. Could now go for like c5. But then yeah, I'm closing up my bishop. Could go for e4, challenge him to make a decision. that creates of course some weaknesses, but yeah, if I d4, that's it. Mostly important after e4 they can't play d4. If they attack my pawns, I have d3 solidifying my structure. I think this is interesting. Not like in this. Yeah, I think okay. This move is not developing more pieces, so that's that. I'm not sure where I want. I guess yeah, I now have this square for my knight, which could be nice. Yeah, I think I like that, since I then sometimes tend to go to c3, even putting more pressure on the central pawn. Okay, this is logical move. So since if they now capture, need to take it to e-pawn, and then they have g4. Is that scary? Okay. Also, this file could open up. Oh, so, but I don't see any problem with that either. No, I think I'm going for this. Could get d3 cementing my structure here, but then my bishop sort of start to get locked in. I would prefer maybe to play with d4 instead. That's blocking this bishop, but yeah. We will see. Well, they are. I'm already taking a lot of time. 5 minutes behind on the clock. But I think that's often time spent well in a Chess960 opening. I feel in the beginning, yeah, you don't really know where the pieces belong, so you need to take time. And then often, like later, the game becomes more and more like a normal position, and then the moves become a lot more straightforward. See, for example, now black, these pieces are my pieces are all starting to get harmony, while black pieces are struggling for the same squares. This bishop has difficulty to get out. Yeah, they can't play knight b6 since there is a pin here. And if they play knight d6, then they are again blocking this bishop. Okay, e5, taking the center. I have now bishop here with a check, but that's maybe not doing that much. I can play now with d4, blowing open the center, saying I have a development lead. That's interesting. I like this d4, I think. Since yeah, if I don't play d4, they are maybe gonna play d4 themselves, and I don't want that. So I think I need to play with d4. There could be some stuff. I'm not sure yet how I want to recapture when they take here, but there is some stuff like here, taking, then some knight g4, putting pressure on h2. I could have gone first bishop c5, but it wasn't like f. Don't think I want to trade those pieces. So, oh, h6, so trying to get this, yeah, since this is slight weakness of my position, makes sense. And if I take here, now, yeah, they're putting pressure here. Then now I can play knight c3, putting more pressure on this pawn. So do I want to keep the tension or I leave some of it? Like maybe at least opening up this, and whenever they go h7 I can capture and misplace one of their pieces. I think that's a logical move. So I capture with the c pawn. Don't think they gain anything about it. It's not that they gain extra squares. I'm also no longer ever needing to take with the f pawn and the tricks over here. So my king is a bit safer. Okay. I like this. Next, knight c3. Yeah, threatening this pawn, which is not, yeah, there is not a clear way how to defend it. Since knight b6 still runs in taking here and the pin. So they will need to relieve the tension, but that should be favorable for me, I think. So next, I guess, is finding a square for this knight, which is not, yeah, since, yeah, I would welcome them playing bishop h7. I'm not only going to misplace one of their pieces, but then I can freely move my knight out of the way. It's hard to suggest moves for them at this point. Like this gives me more control over the center. This develops my bishop, which then gives me the option to castle. But despite it being endgame, I probably still want to do. Maybe they need to like at some point play ace. Okay, go with that knight. Oh, of course, that's a way to defend this pawn. Maybe now I put some extra pressure on the d4 pawn. Could take. I guess if after taking I can win this pawn. That's okay. It's a pawn. Don't see like big way to punish that. They will have d4 options, but also not that scary. Like everything in my position is well defended, so that's nice. So now I want to take here. And still, yeah, there's still this traffic jam over here. Could gain a tempo at some point against the bishop. Okay, should of course have that on pre-move. I have no idea how it comes that I have still move confirmation for this. Maybe like I guess this is a separate category. Or maybe it's because 20 plus 20 iterates, it's like classical time control, which it I guess, and maybe I have for classical still move confirmation on, since I know that I don't have it on for rapid. But yeah, this position, that's just looks a healthy extra pawn. They could, yeah, I guess knight c6 will be with the tempo, but I have I check as a reply, so now I have the bishop pair. I guess, yeah, they are arguing that I have not the healthiest pawn. He's here, which is true, which is a solid argument. Maybe these pawns can become a little bit weak. I didn't like look deep enough at that. But still, this pawn will, yeah, like these knights are really struggling to get good squares. Could even, like, I can see that, but yeah, no, it isn't. I think, well, these pawns look, of course, very weak. I think it's more important that I'm like killing. I think I need to do this with red, killing all the squares for the knights. Even if this knight goes here, I'm still killing all the squares. And of course, the only, can I also do a cane? This one, yeah, attacking this pawn could be an option, but So now next, there is something to be said that I don't want a castle. Then maybe sometimes just play king f2. Keeping it a bit more in the center. My bishop could be very nicely placed on d4. Oh, what? I didn't move this move. Ugh. Wow, that was losing some costly time. Need to... No idea how that happened. I hope the stream is running smoothly now. Okay, so this is it's with the tempo on my bishop. I feel like I will put the king towards the center. And like it feels it could be getting quite weak. Of course, yeah. The only question. So I check here. Let's say I move the king up. Then now they start to attack this pawn. And I guess here I would have still a solid square on d3, but so maybe instead I want to play bishop d4, giving up my bishop pair. But yeah, can they really take it? Could do check and then bishop d4, saying the king is misplaced on e8. It looks kind of weak over there. Sometimes can get a check later on. That looks interesting. Yeah, I think I like that. So probably now I go with bishop d4. Sometimes I of course want to take here. If they capture here, that like now I solve my pawn structure. That would be just a healthy pawn. And after knight a5, I can play with c5, like, or bishop d3. But then they have bishop h7. And then I maybe could like play with king e2, get my king to the center. Also taking here and bishop e4 sometimes on the cards. So, but yeah, I guess c5 just. So after knight a5, c5. Okay, that's logical move. So yeah, they will need to capture with a hook, I guess. Since if they take with the knight, then I think I'm happily gonna take that pawn. The hook will get active on this file, but this pawn is very solidly defended. I could no. If I take the knight, then they can just take with the rook. Oh yeah, okay. Anyway, we need to take with the rook. I think I wanna keep this bishop for now. That looks a good bishop. So next, how do I develop my knight? This rook is so out of play. Yeah, of course, like this is a nice idea, but after knight a5, that fights nicely against that. Maybe c2 e3 is a good idea, fighting against knight a5. Okay. So I think I still want this pre-move. Let's see, restoring my pawn structure. Yeah, this rook is so far, like they need to lose a move with the king. Then, although maybe now I helped them in the end with getting their king to the center. It was nah, not at all obvious. But yeah, okay. So I guess now they are challenging for, they want a knight getting to e5. I can stop that with f4. Can also play knight b4. I guess f4 just looks good. Don't think there is any weakness of that. The only thing they can then play with g5, but yeah, after g5 now the rook is stuck and they are almost forced to take at one point my bishop. I guess not after f4 they could come back, but at any moment I can decide that I finally gonna take that knight. So let me make sure. This knight on e4, it looks strong. I don't want to allow a knight on that square. So now I guess it's time to move the king up. Does it make a difference which square? I don't think I need to bother with castling. My king wants to be in the center. Yeah, that's so this moving the knight back to f6 could be a reason to not play with. Although this is, I'm really afraid. I guess, yeah. Like when I have with the knight on e4, just reply with king e3 and the knight needs to go back anyway. Okay, g5 is, I think, a logical follow-up. So the pawn on f7. No, since if I play f5, then I give back that square. So what if I just play g3? Then maybe they will be tempted to take. Could or at any moment also decide to take with a knight. Which sometimes will just be good. I think for now going with g3. So now, yeah, it almost will be forced that they take on d4 at one point. They are playing probably a little bit too fast, I think. Of course, you could say it is a strategy to put pressure on my clock, but I don't think the position is difficult enough for that. Like now, this 20-second increment is a lot. Okay, f6, I guess now giving the rook a square, that makes sense. So then I probably go back to king f2, maybe next rook e1. Could also try something over here. Okay. Assume this is a pre-move I'm most certain about. I'm not sure which piece I want to recapture in case of I think this rook now is too active. I need to trade it. Yeah, like it still could be not an easy conversion. I think they are fighting well. Okay. So, like, is there any great squares, new squares where knight can go to from here? Since, yeah. I want my king, of course, going up the board, not back. But yeah, and this, now this knight a5. Yeah, I both don't really want to do, but I guess I'm gonna for this. Okay, moving the king up, good. Knight e3, knight e5. But probably it's more important to also move my king up. Feel, yeah, the action is more on this side of the board. Although, could also these pawns. Maybe I want my king to protect these pawns. Or is this the most flexible move? Maybe that's not that crazy. Being able to go to both sides. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I can allow them to just get in. Or knight e3. So take. Okay, and next, how do I want to move the king up? I might, maybe at some point I need to play with f5 to stop me getting in. Now I can pre-move this again. Now there is no decision anymore. So yeah, this knight really is blocking off their king path, since it blocks both squares. So there's, I guess, yeah, they can take and then they have this path, but that feels like, yeah. Okay, now this pawn is forever needs the protection of the king. Okay. Ah, my bishop is stuck. Guess maybe I can play with c5 and get the king in like that. Okay, that's a logical idea. No, if they capture, do I capture? Okay. Defending there. So now do I now play with c5? I can also play with knight d5. That's interesting. So then the king gets sort of an entry. But maybe my pawns here are just very fast. Not really sure about this one. Okay, let's wait. What is the ID here? Okay. My bishop is dominating their knight. I guess they can try to grab this pawn. But what if I just push this pawn? That looks very strong. I guess they can block with b6. But yeah, let's see. Maybe b6, they now need to play with b6. Okay, they keep playing good moves. Yeah, this sort of annoying. But they are like the knight is in zugzwang, so this here, this, but yeah, I'm not in time. That's annoying. If I now play here, they have knight c5. Can go for this. Am I fast enough then? Need to make sure I'm not blundering forks. Oh, they can go back. Tricky, tricky. Good that I messed this up. Could be. Yeah, they keep playing good moves. I can maybe put my bishop here. Okay. Guess this. But then they have h5, h4 also. Nah. Maybe repeat once and h3. No. Bishop g3. Queen e3. King e3. This one. But then yeah, they have this h5. Oh no. Bishop g3 and then h5, h4. Can I like put their king sort of in zugzwang? Let's take. No. Then they can start moving the knight. No, h5, and I don't see how the guess then it's time to try something active. I shouldn't have gone like all passive like this. And this. What do I do? This, I'll do it. No, this was not the way to go. Ugh. They can. Oh no, I defend this. Oh, whew, that's. I completely missed this idea that I'm attacking h4. Wow, this is very lucky of me. So I guess then they need to move the knight, but then I can get it in with my king. They have knight g4, then take, and then they can take here. But my pawn will be then very fast. I think I then just can sack for this one. Okay. That's now go here, and I get my king in. Okay, gonna win it. It was not super nice, but I think this is close to the end. It's even hard to like for them. They are getting into zugzwangs. So here can just already promote. And okay. And what does this even gain them? Just take this pawn and I will go back. Or I don't even know to go back, I can go forward too. It's not that I guess after here they can take, but yeah, I'm so much faster than them. So now go diagonally. No checks for you. Promote. Okay. I think they played a very well game. Okay. Yeah, it was already spending a lot of time here. Looks like, you never know, but e4 is going way better in this position. So what's then? Let's say d5. Take. Okay. I feel that the queen was decent. But yeah, I guess after my c4 they could also have played d5. f6 is somehow and that's with tempo on my pawn over here. That's logical, but and if I then play still my queen b3, yeah, they can. But knight b6, yeah, that's, I have d3. Guess they have d5 now, possibly. Yeah, that's But yeah, I'm not sure. Still, I found, yeah, this idea was, but yeah, I don't think their setup was that well. I gained a lot of time. Okay, they got the queens off, but so now I have, they have 3 pieces open, while they only have this bishop open, which like has even difficulty moving because this a7 pawn is weak. Here this e4 was, so now I can't. So yeah, they try to fight. I think, yeah, this knight f6, the problem was now it's very hard to open up this bishop. Maybe knight is, but yeah, the problem with knight e6, it's always, then where do you go with this knight? Maybe you go with this knight to d6. But yeah, their knights are struggling, and I could at some point like push the knight away. But yeah, this at least put pressure on this pawn. But yeah, so then maybe I need to play d3 and I block my bishop, or I need to play with c5. But then knight b5 is a solid square, so I guess I have e5 here. That's a problem, and then I can follow it up with d4. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That looks good. It blocks my bishop, but I gain like a lot of space, and their pieces really start to suffer. So yeah, here I found it already very difficult to suggest moves for them. Here, yeah, I had here a really nice lead in development. It's like all those pieces developed while they have only those 2 developed, so breaking it open made a lot of sense. So now, yeah, they need to get this bishop out one way, so yeah, this was really the only way, so makes some sense. But maybe, yeah, they dropped a pawn already like this, so probably they need to do something about that, so maybe taking here, but then, yeah, I have 2 nice options, both with the knight, maybe getting to something like here, or even like I can take with the knight, take here knight b5 and put even more pressure here. Although then a6 looks, maybe at some point but yeah, still a6. So is there a way? I guess no, 97, then this hangs. Maybe something like take and 97 could be a way to go. And then I can at least like play with maybe a faster way to, but yeah, now they resolve the tension. Maybe it's better to resolve it like this, and then whenever they play f6 it will be at least with a tempo on this pawn. But yeah, now you heal my pawn structure too, so I feel every decision here it was already difficult. I guess I should make clear that I'm reading chat right now. I forgot to remove that. Yes. Okay. So 93. Yeah, here I wanted this pawn, but I guess here it was not yet a threat. So this but the knight still on this square, it was I'm not threatening yet to take here. So I guess you could see like here, take, And if they know something different than 97, which stops a pawn, taking here, it's not nice. That helps my structure. I guess yeah, they can. No, they can't play with. Yeah, 93 here. Yeah, maybe they need to do this, but yeah, no, this pawn, and then here. Now trying to trade, but now at least they have equal material. I'm more active, but yeah. Okay, so now I won a pawn, and then after that it became way more difficult, and this was nicely. So could I have like avoided this? Maybe, but yeah, then also I'm left here with weak pawns. If I take on d5 instead. Yeah, and then also b2 is hanging in the end. Maybe I needed to be a little bit more calm. Maybe something like 93. Saying, yeah, but now maybe they can play with e4. Although probably that pawn will be too weak after something like knight e5. Also attacking b7. So something like this. Yeah, doesn't really matter if you complete or not. Now I'm attacking both these pawns. This pawn is like triple attacked, and so this is maybe knight e3 here is more precise, since yeah, this combination was nicely saw from them. Here, yeah, but how the game went, I guess just going directly bishop d4 sort of wins. Probably I win a tempo. Maybe it's all the same. They anyway, I guess they placed at one point queen e7 in the game, and then I'm not sure anymore how they activated their game, but we will see later. So this all looked nice. Fighting against their knights, disgrace for the knights. Yeah, they went with f7, so it doesn't really matter in the end. Oh yeah, no. So here, I guess they are not really threatening anything here, so I could go for the other option was here, but I felt I was not really threatening anything over there either. Like they could even be thinking about just, I don't know, I guess they never really can like block. So maybe here, but I guess even, let's say, it's hard for them to make waiting moves, but maybe here and let's say I enter. It's not that I'm threatening anything also. But maybe they now need to be like a little bit more safe with, yeah, I can get my knight also. It could be something. So let's check here and here, yeah. And they started pretty early. Maybe I should have be a little bit more afraid of their counterplay. Here, And yeah, here this is a decent plan. And yeah, I'm winning over here, but yeah, this b6 was also an only move. If I can play c5, then it's easy. So b6, and this wasn't doing anything. Yeah, they need to see that they need to play king back, but if they see that, then it was just and maybe this king. Yeah, I guess I just play king g3 directly. Probably I still need to go with king e3 at one point, since now h4. Anyway, need to go. Or can I say that I prefer to? Also, I realize now, maybe here the way is to just sack the bishop for that pawn, and the knight can stop both pawns. I had really little time to calculate stuff like that. So, and the king is still relatively close. I guess here it's pretty far away. And let's try this one. So I need to play king d4 first. Here. Yeah, where the guess it's very hard also for them, where since if they go over here, I keep winning temples. So yeah, if they can sack their knight for the 2 pawns, then they are golden, but that's very difficult. And if they instead go back, it's still go. I'm first here with the king still. Of course, this here, then I need to play c6, but I'm still like here. I'm just fast enough. So maybe this also won. I will check after I'm done. So here, I really thought I had messed up, since I saw this plan and didn't know what to do, but only here, like after I played here, I realized that if they play take, I can just take this pawn. But yeah, I guess the other option was here. And what do I do? But yeah, it's still the same. It's still only trading pawns. And I still play the same with t6, getting my king in. So maybe this was in the end all fine. But not well calculated, but yeah, I guess probably it's still better for them to take this pawn, since then the king at least is somewhat close to the center. So let's say here. So now, maybe like this. And here d6 take, and then here, and the king is at least fighting for some squares. But yeah, I still think this plan wins still, since still my bishop is controlling f6. They have and they even don't have knight e5, since there's a skewer here, so their knight is lacking a lot of squares, and I'm just coming in here. But yeah, there are almost no pawns left, so it's also, I need to be precise. No, this was easy. Okay, so let's run the analysis to see. if they had at any point could hold it. Okay, it looks like I never really let slip. That's nice. I miscalculated, but oh, so my queen b3 was not good. So there's the engine already at move 1. Like, yeah, it's all the same. It's not that it likes e4 that much either. So there are some Chess960 positions where like the evaluation in the opening position is bigger than in the regular opening position. So queen b3, f6. I guess, yeah, that was the question I had in game 2. Like, can I really cap this pawn? So I assume the idea is after taking here, there's knight b6, defending this rook, and my queen is a little bit stuck. Although still, after, let's say, like, is it really, is it getting trapped maybe? Maybe. So if I, let's say, it's probably not getting trapped, since I can get out, but I don't have time to defend the c4 pawn, I guess, but I'm not sure which move. This, yeah, I guess this doesn't work because of bishop here. So then d3. Now I think problem is knight c7. No, maybe not. No, I guess a6. And now they are threatening knight e6 and tapping my queen. So I think, oh no, this is still not. How do I get f3? Okay, get it out like that. So what's done here? You need to play with a5 instead. Okay, and then you are threatening rook. No. And now f3, bishop c7, and it's still, and now it's stuck, and now I will be losing it. Okay, but yeah, for my opponent to see that, that's very difficult. I was not at all sure I would take this, but yeah, if you can take here, then you just put your queen in, like, I guess they can also just play knight b6 now that I look at it. But yeah, here I want to play d3. Yeah, not necessarily directly, but maybe first e4 then d3, or is this also, and this is that's critical. Okay, so let's go forward. Here this already felt pleasant for white. So my e4, yeah, it's not. So what, so they need to play knight c, d6. Putting directly pressure here. And here I was thinking, like, in the analysis, I guess, maybe, I'm not sure, set it on this, but at least at similar positions, e5. Okay, now the engine still really likes my position, so not sure. I know it switched it. I guess this was my line, not the engine line. f6. Okay. Defending. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Since later in the game, this pawn was their real. This bishop was their real problem, please. And by putting the knight on f6, and now, yeah, they can defend this pawn like this. But here I wanted, I think. And they're also putting pressure now here. That's a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah, this is a nice way to do it. So yeah, I don't like my e4 that much anymore for that reason. I think f6 is a nice reply. And after that, yeah, now their position really was difficult. Got a big advantage. It's maybe not the most precise. Here, let's see, is knight e3 here better? Yes. Although it's all pretty similar. Maybe knight c. Oh, I messed up there. So it doesn't look like it likes knight c2. Also, it wants to take now. And let's then here the follow-up. I guess yes, I have knight e3 here also with the tempo. Okay. But yeah, okay, that's all. Anyway, all was good for me. Very nice advantage here. Okay, knight c6 is sort of the losing move, but that's, I guess it's, yeah, again, the engine prefers to get the bishop probably out in this way. But yeah, that creates a lot of weak squares, but probably it's not a problem. Yeah, I guess that this was the main takeaway, that they needed to move this knight out of the way so they can play f6. Since here on h7 they lose just too much time. And here I was winning. Yeah, the engine doesn't like rook e1. Is it? I guess, yeah, this is a way, at least to win some time. No, it doesn't do that. Let's say king f7 here. I can also attack the b1 pawn, of course. And if they need to move the knight out of the way, and the knight doesn't even have great squares. And I have bishop c5 too. For example, I guess it all f8. Now I go forward. Okay, makes sense. Since yeah, this endgame was not. It was probably a draw. So how did they? Although that's very difficult. Here and here I'm again winning. And I never let it slip. Although I hadn't seen how to win it, only when I was at the position. I figured it out. Okay. Overall, like, I think a good game, but less than the engine evaluation suggests. And I think my opponent played. They struggled in the opening. That's very difficult, but afterwards they fought very well. They made me it difficult to convert, so congrats to them.